The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, chapter 5, teaches, HaOmer, one who says, Shali, Shali, V'shalcha, Shalcha, what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. This reflects the characteristic of an average common person. V'yeshamrim, others say, this is a midas stone, a trait of the civilization of stone. This raises an obvious question. How can there be such a drastic difference between the two views? How can one opinion call this attitude merely average, common, while another identifies it as the defining trait of Sodom's depravity? Rav Shlomo Kluger, the HaRav, Zecher Tzaddik Levracha, explains in his Sefer Magen Avos that the difference depends on scope. If it is only HaOmer, one individual who says, what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours, it may be tolerable, a neutral personal philosophy. But once it becomes v'yeshomrim, when many adopt this attitude, it turns into a social principle, a culture. Then it becomes stone, a society built on selfishness, cruelty, and indifference. We see a modern example of this. If only one demagogue, Mamdani, spewed hatred towards Jews, it would be a minor concern. But when there are millions that support him and condone his position against the Jewish people, that is a yeshomrim. It becomes a civilization of stone. For Mamdani, and especially those in the Muslim world, their words mean something far darker. If they state shalcha, shalcha, what they really mean, what's mine is mine, and what's yours is also mine. When Hashem could no longer tolerate the wickedness of stone, he resolved to destroy it. The Torah tells us that God thought, can I conceal from Avraham what I'm about to do? And so he revealed his plan. Why did God feel compelled to tell Avraham? What difference would it make if Avraham knew? Rav Yosef Albo, Zecher Tzaddik Levracha, in his Sefer HaYikarim, explains that because Hashem had entered into a covenant with Avraham, he was bound to share his plan. True friendship demands transparency. Nothing is to be hidden. From the continuation of the story, we see another purpose. Hashem wanted Avraham to pray for stone, to advocate for them, to plead on their behalf. We read how Avraham steps forward and argues with Hashem, even speaking boldly. Far be it from you, Hashem, to do such a thing. Shall the judge of all the earth not act justly? He bargains with Hashem. Perhaps 50 righteous people can save the city. 45, 40, 30, 20, 10. But Sodom is still destroyed. What was the purpose of recording such a long and detailed prayer, one that seemingly failed? If the Torah wanted to teach us about prayer, it could have chosen an example that was accepted, not one that ended with destruction. The answer lies in the introduction to this episode. Hashem himself explained why he revealed his plan to Avraham. For I, Hashem, love him because he will command his children and his household after him to keep the way of Hashem, to do righteousness and justice. Avraham was chosen to embody and to teach righteousness and justice. Therefore, when God spoke of destroying Sodom, Avram had to respond. If he was to live by righteousness, he could not stand by silently. He had to care, to act, to protest, even knowing that he might fail. To be a moral teacher, one must not ask, will I succeed? One must simply do. He must feel compassion, identify with the suffering of others, and involve himself in their fate. The sin of Sodom was precisely the opposite. Indifference. They showed no sympathy for their fellow human beings. Avraham was the antithesis. As the great teacher of ethics, Rav Yisrael Salanta Zecher Tzaddik Levracha, once said, a Jew should not be merely an imitator, nor someone who seeks exemptions from responsibility, nor even just one who strives to do good. A Jew should simply be a doer. Avraham exemplified this principle when he stood up for the people of Sodom. The Torah goes into great detail, for it is a very important lesson. A Jew, even against all odds, should always stand up for what is right, should always do righteousness and justice. And perhaps, in some measure, Avram's prayer was not in vain. He could not save the city, but his pleading did bring salvation to Lot and his family. From that remnant of Lot and his family came the Ne'im Zmiros Yisrael, the sweet singer of Israel, David HaMelech, who gave us Tehillim, through which Jews have prayed for centuries for comfort and redemption. Without Avram's prayer for Sodom, there might never have been Tehillos David. Additionally, often when one tries to save another, one ends up saving oneself. American Jews, many of whom had grown distant from Jewish life once dedicated themselves to rescuing Soviet Jews from spiritual destruction. In so doing, many of our youth found their own way back to Torah and Yiddishkeit. Many Jews dedicated themselves to yeshivas, and in the process, saved their own children and grandchildren. The same is true of American Jewry's devotion to Israel. In helping others, we have strengthened ourselves. Nothing done for goodness, faith, or Torah is ever wasted. Every sincere effort, every prayer, every act for the sake of heaven, for Torah, for Yiddishkeit, for Eretz Yisrael, leaves a mark. No prayer goes unanswered. For as David HaMelech wrote, Karav Hashem l'chol karav, l'chol asher yikra'u v'emes. Hashem is close to all who call upon him, to all who call to him in sincerity. Shabbat Shalom.